Done by Noon podcast, episode number 7. Today we're going to talk about how to manage a thriving family and business at the same time.
You're listening to the Done by Noon podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to achieve more by noon than others in a full day. Serial entrepreneur Dave Ruel and his co-host Chris Lopez share the strategies that will help you optimize your productivity, performance, and lifestyle so you can reach new heights in your business and life. So if you're ready to become the most efficient and effective entrepreneur you know, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show.
Chris!
Well, hello, sir. How are you today?
Doing good, man. Hey, we've already established that I think that the number productivity hack you can have is actually not to have kids. You said
So I used to work in a sports store, and this is a funny story that I always tell people because I had a friend of mine, and we were young back then. I was maybe 17. He was about 21, and he was working there too. And there were a couple of kids, and they were taking shoe boxes out of the shelves and like emptying them on the floor and being all crazy and everything. And the parents couldn't have any control. And he turned to me. His name was Andy, and he said, "You see, this is why I wear condoms." And then I just started laughing. Like, so every time somebody says something about, productivity and kids or kids being all crazy, they're the joy of my life. I'll go on and say it. But yeah, like some people just aren't meant to have kids. And
did you have age at the time?
No. I was 17, Dave.
No, you were 17. You were 17. I thought it said the guy was 17. Okay,
no, yeah. 4 years later. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, so you took that advice from Alex.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, you listened to him clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. Dude. No, but in all seriousness, I think, it's for all you moms and dads out there listening to the podcast. You all know how it is. You all get the joke because obviously, like having kids and managing a business at the same time is no joke. And there's ways to make it happen. There's things that need to change, obviously, and that's I'm lucky to have you here, Chris, the master of having kids and the master of managing a business with kids very successfully. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to actually get some secrets out of you.
Out of me? Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I like to say that so I had to build the business while we had 3 kids, then 4 kids, then 5 kids. So that in and of itself has been a challenge. But you need we can talk about what the steps are and everything, but you need a solid partner, and you need to make sure that you establish your values and what's most important to you and your family.
Yeah, because I don't think there's any clear steps. I think the key is having a strong base, and from there, based on your context, based on the specificities of your business and your marriage and your life in general, then you need to adapt from it. But yeah, I think number one is that definitely like having the right partner is definitely on the top of the list, because whether you're with your current partner with whom you have the kids or divorced, I think it's important to have that, I guess, that support system that goes in the same way that you're going with your business, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You do, and you have to see. You have to have common values, or somebody has to be able to, like, there's sacrifice, there's compromise, but in the end, from a foundational standpoint, you really do have to see life the same way, in terms of how you see the business and how you see your family life.
Was it always clear with you and Roseanne, like the way you wanted to like lead your life and the business that was gonna make it happen?
I think for us, the one thing that was established was that we wanted to build a business, or I wanted to build a business around my life, and not not have my life revolve around the business. So the two are very integrated in the sense that if I'm going away, because, if I have to take a trip somewhere, then I'll take the family and we can make it a family trip. And we've done that numerous times. Doing business with my friends, like you and I know, we've spent a lot of time together in different places with the mastermind group that we were with. So we made it almost like a family thing. So we've integrated things a lot, but the general goal behind what it was, or the reason why I became an entrepreneur, was to make sure that I use this business to support my family and not the other way around.
Yeah. But while like being very clear on the type of lifestyle that you guys wanted.
Yes. 100%. Yeah,
So,
of course. Yeah.
So was there any like part of, because I know when you guys started, like when you guys started having kids, I think you were kind of the provider of funds in some ways, right? Like you were the only one working on a business.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and how did that evolve over time? Like, was it always clear that Roseanne wanted to start her own thing as well? Or how did that evolve? Did that something that was very clear from the start, or something that just like you guys evolved over time and saw like, okay, well, let's go that way, or let's take that path?
Well, so we homeschool, and we both agreed that would be Roseanne's primary responsibility, and then my responsibility would be to provide. And that later on, once we had established a better rhythm, or once the kids got older, and there was an opportunity there for her to do something, because I like to say that, in this relationship or in this partnership, like I'm really holding the space for her. Like I think she's the brains behind the whole operation, and she is a polymath in the true sense of the word, in that anything that she really puts her mind to, she can be good at. And so it was agreed upon that our main focus for the kids and for our life, for our family life, would be for us to homeschool, so that we would have the freedom of schedule to be able to travel, and have the autonomy and allow the kids to learn at their own pace and everything. So that responsibility was hers. And then my responsibility was to be able to provide for the family in that sense. And that meant growing the business and being the financial provider for the family.
Was there a point where like she felt most like she needed a little bit more fulfillment, like it coming from like creativity or work, like that she really needed, that she might not have thought at first that would happen?
No, because I mean, we should eventually get her on the podcast, but for her fulfillment and her creativity came from, we have 5 kids and each one has a different learning style. Yeah. And there's this old saying with coaching and with teaching, where that which you teach, you also learn. And so she became better at her craft of being able to communicate to our kids and to other kids, and to be able to teach. And she used that as a means of creativity, because each one of our kids is different. Each one has a different learning style. So she was able to cater the lessons and everything to her learning style. So luckily she was able to find creativity and fulfillment in that. And that was her whole intention to begin with. Like she had never, as far as I know, she might tell you different, but from what I can see and from the way she and I have spoken about things, she's never felt gypped in that sense of not being able to find a creative outlet.
Yeah, that was the like Karen and I were very clear from the start on like the type of lives we wanted and how we wanted to lead it. But it was the same thing at first. I was mostly like the provider, with the business and everything. But I felt like at one point, especially with when Charliana was born, she felt kind of that need, to feel not just useful on just being a mom, but she wanted to be fulfilled, and with reason. Obviously we all want to, but for her, like she felt like she couldn't express her creative side, and she's very creative. She's an artist. You can, like, Karen's really artistic. So she had that urge to create in some ways. Right. So we had kind of to readjust how it would provide to the family, where it was just not only my responsibility, it was hers at some point. So there was kind of an adjustment, to be made, where we all went from, I'm the guy who works and I go hunting, and then you take care of the house, and let's be honest. And I think dudes, for all the men that listen to us, I mean, maybe all of you, but most of you guys, our wives just do a way better freaking job at taking care of a house. I think it would be a little bit chaotic if it's, I mean, I think, I don't know. And I don't want it to sound like, I don't want it for people to get it the wrong way, but, I still feel like there are things that we are engineered, to do better, like that women do better than us and that we do better than women. You know what I mean? Like, well, as a natural balance of the family ecosystem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, and there's psychological studies and there are studies out there that prove that women are better at multitasking and men are better at single tasking or focusing on things, and focusing in the sense of like doing one thing and putting everything else aside. And I've seen that in our house. Like Roseanne she's a machine. My wife is a machine. She's managing, at one point she was managing 5 different curriculums or 5 different learning styles, because we have 5 different kids and she had a couple of projects on her own. Like I think the most important thing is just, it's kind of like what you and Karen did, where you're just, communication is the key. Like we have to be very clear about what it is that we want. And Roseanne has always been very forthcoming about what she needs and what she wants from me. And I've been the same way. And I think that that's why it works, because we had this agreement, and anytime it evolved or anytime anything changed, she didn't bottle anything up, and she was very expressive as to what it was that she wanted. And so as long as you're open to that and you have that line of communication, I think anything is possible.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because if you hold it, within you and you don't talk about it, this is when resentment can start building, and things like, the relationships can start unraveling in some ways, like negatively. So it's important. We still talk about it like pretty much weekly, me and Corinne, like, on our life and on, expectations and things like that. And, we realize different things, over time. Like right now with 2 kids, and we're just back from vacation, and she's like, you know what? I realized that for you, your career is very important. You have a lot of fulfillment through your work. Most of your fulfillment comes from your work and how you can do it and how you can focus on it. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean that you're still doing a good job as a dad, but what you do, like the way you find your true fulfillment, is by creating through, your business. And she's like, you know what? She's like, and sometimes she's like, I feel like I might be, not that I'm asking too much, because like I never told her that I never would, Karen's not asking too much out of me. Never. She never did. But she's like, maybe sometimes I should like respect a little bit more, like that's your style, and not me wanting for you to be, a little bit like different on some of the things. And I realized that, the things that you're not necessarily talented at, or that you're not trying to fulfill, I'm finding fulfillment to these things, right? But I should not expect that, I should lend you 50%, give you 50% of it, and that I keep 50% of it. It's fine if I do 70 and you do 30 on this one, and you'll do 70 on this, and it's kind of a balance game, but not like a numbers game. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know if it's it sounds weird, but it's not about counting, by dividing equally every single thing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, I think it all comes down to communication and being very clear about what our expectations are and what everyone else wants out of the relationship. And not to say that things can't change. I mean, we have friends that are kind of going through this right now, where there was no communication in their marriage, and now they're at a point where the kids have left, and the mother identified with being a mother the whole time and never had that creative outlet, and the dad was always the provider. And now that the kids are left, they're going through problems because they identified with those roles, and after that you have nothing. Like they kind of feel like they're in this re-identification process, and where they have this identity crisis. And so I think it's really important, if you're running the business, that not to get caught up in all of that, and to play your role as a father or as a mother as well. And if you are running the household, you have to have your own types of creative outlets as well, so that you're not identified, because that's going to be taken away from you. Eventually the kids are going to grow up, and you have to make sure that it's like what we talked about with self-care a few episodes ago.
Yeah, you have to keep something for yourself. And I think you have to keep something for yourself, but you also have to keep something as a couple, something that keeps you united, together at some point. You know what I mean? Like, because yes, you have to focus on self-care, but keep focusing on the couple as well. Because when you think about it, it's the nucleus of the family. It starts with you and your wife, or your partner, and then the kids, start gravitate around that nucleus. But really, if you don't take care of the heart of the unit, this is when things can start drifting away. And that's a big problem. I think, when you identify yourself as just one thing and that's all you are, and then you have to reinvent yourself when the kids are gone. I saw my parents do that. It was a terrible thing to see. I mean, you see someone who has like and I applaud my mom's dedication to us. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of dedication she had towards us. However, like, I look at it from an adult standpoint now, I'm like, I would be so much happier if you were fulfilled in your life. If you had something that would make you truly happy besides, your kids' happiness.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, and now we're adults. I mean, my brother, my sisters are grown adults. I mean, I'm the oldest one, but I'm the only one who has a family. But I have my family now, and I have my own unit to take care of. So it's I'm not as present, if you want, for her. You know what I mean? So she has to find new ways for self-actualize. It's kind of crazy, but I witnessed that, and I think I would have wished that she would have done that for herself. And I think my parents should have kept something together, as far as their whole as their unit, just themselves, So not being a little bit more selfish, but kind of you got to keep cultivating that garden. What are the things that you and Roseanne do, let's say, on a weekly basis for you guys to reconnect, just the two of you guys?
Well, we have a date night, just like how everybody else would have a date night. Like, we make sure that we schedule that time. We're both early morning risers, so we're both up around 4:45, 5 a.m. And we have a routine every day where we sit on our deck and have coffee together for like an hour. So before we even open our laptops or start journaling or doing anything like that, we basically sit there with each other and we just kind of reconnect and catch up. And it's nice because we have a big open area in Costa Rica. So we have our deck that looks out to, the rest of our property, which is primarily jungle. So all you see is green, and we sit there and we drink our coffee and we reconnect. And that's our weekly check-in, or that's our day. I guess that could be our daily check-in. Yeah. Yeah.
You have 360 view on all the bugs in the jungle.
The cicadas, yeah. The massive cicadas.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Actually, it's not that bad. Like, in the morning, it's better. It's in the evening, it gets kind of bad. We have to turn the fans
on. Whatever, Chris. But I like that. I think that's that. And I love to have it part of a ritual too. I think you're kind of forced to implement rituals when you have kids, to have this time that is kind of sacred. You know what I mean? Because there's so many things that you're not going to plan, as much as you want to plan things and have everything dialed. There's still going to be a high level of improvisation. People just don't realize how much shit you have to like figure out on a daily basis. I think people with no kids don't get that. Like the amount of resourcefulness it takes to be a parent.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it too. We take for granted how much time we have when we don't have those responsibilities, but it's like that old saying, like if you want something done, find the busiest person and give it to them to do, or give it to a mother, I think is what the saying is. Like, just because when you're a parent, you've got systems in place. Usually you have systems in place and routines in place where you know how to manage things because you have to, it's out of necessity. And so, that's probably the biggest advantage to being a parent is like, it's an exponential Pareto principle where you really are focusing on the 20% that will give you the most impact.
And I think there's a big parallel there, between family and, running a family and running a business is that I think, when you run a small business that is just you can just kind of wing it. You know what I mean? The amount of preparation and processes that you need is not that, it's not heavy at all. It's a couple of routines here and there. But when you operate a family, like you need this collection of processes on a daily basis, of routines, of rituals that keep the whole thing afloat. And as the business grows and as your family grow, that need for processed organization will be evident. So it's and I think a lot of people are just, I guess, resistant to it. Not on the business level. Well, some on the business level, but like bringing that type of organization to a family setup.
Yeah. It's a necessity though. Like, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have a family, you have to be organized on both ends. You can't be in triage mode all the time because you'll just burn out. And that's what I find a lot of people, that's how they become very reactive, both from a family standpoint and from a business standpoint. And that's where you start to see things break down, is when you're always reactive. Like, you have to be very proactive and have some foresight into what needs to be done and the systems that you put in place in order to manage both.
I have my friends, Dan Martel and Renee Warren. They're entrepreneurial couple, and they have a family SOP. They have a SOP for their family. They have an actual binder with standard operating procedures for the family.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah, it's that organized. I was like, that's kind of extreme. And a lot of families don't want to go that far. But when you reach like levels, like Dan, like reach a pretty high level of business, plus he has a lot of entrepreneurial stamina. Like he's a very active dude. Like he's a go nonstop guy. Yeah. And in order to keep that cohesion as a family, like they had to create these standard operating procedures because things were going fast, And I think they adapted to the type of business that they were running and the type of family that they wanted to operate as well. And it works great for them. I mean, you see them like they have it, I guess under control, but it's inspiring to see, you know what I mean? But that's another example of a family that learned how to adapt to, a current business situation. Right. And I think, it doesn't need to be necessarily like, obviously on paper, but that's the importance of having that sequence, that protocol. Like it's stupid, but like I see like the way we deal with the girls here, it's like, the bedtime routine is very, it's not a strict routine, but it's a very, there's steps to that routine and it's always the same. And the key is like, not to get them to be, sheeps or anything like that. That's not like the goal. The key is to establish some kind of rules, when it comes to operating their family. And this is how the family operates, because we have this, and after that, like the parents have their time, So it's important to have that. That's just a basic example, I guess. But
I think kids, and we've done a lot of research on things in terms of raising kids and like just the psychology of kids. And we've found that both in our practice and what we've read, that kids actually crave routine. And that's how they build trust within the parental unit or within the family unit is through routine. And so we've always, like, there's this whole movement right now that they call free range parenting, where they basically let the kids run the household and run amok. And to me, it's like the most irresponsible.
How's that going?
Oh yeah, I know exactly, right? Like it's probably the most irresponsible thing that you can do, this free range parenting thing, because you're essentially negating, the years, the decades of life experience that you have, and allowing whatever, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old to run the house and make the decisions for themselves, which they can't. They're incapable of doing that, which is why they have parents. So when you have an established routine and an established rhythm with your family, the kids can relax and they're not stressed out all the time, and they don't act up because they know what to expect, because it's routine. And that's what they need. They need structure so that they can build trust within that structure and within, like, with you, so that they know exactly what to expect. And then from there, you can build the creativity and everything. But they can't do that if they're constantly stressed out about having to make decisions or not knowing what's next. And so having
that's such a bullshit thing to do as a leader, like from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's the first time I hear that. Is that a common thing?
No, yeah. If you look at it, like, and so I hate to like say this, but I mean, we live in a community, like the town that we live in is very quote unquote new age and hippie and everything. And so there are a lot of people that believe in that. They believe in this free range parenting movement where you basically it's like, well, what do you want to do? What do you think is the best thing for you? And you're asking like a 4-year-old this? Like, you insane? No, you cannot put dirt in your mouth because you could get sick. But instead, people are like, well, let them put dirt in their mouth. They'll learn. No, they won't. They're going to keep on doing it. Like, just, boundaries, guidelines. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Like, think about it from a leadership standpoint, like on a business. Like, would you believe that free range business building would work? Think about it. Like, you would go to your employees and say, like, I don't care. Like, what do you think we should do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, there's a level of response. I'm all about empowerment. Don't get me wrong, but there should be a leader that leads, that shows you the direction. You need to show your employees where we're heading. You need to show that type of leadership, that this is the goal. This is where we're going. Are you in or are you out? You don't teach doing that. You don't teach your kids about unity. You don't teach your kids about team. You don't teach your kids about us. And it's a very selfish way to raise kids. Like, not only because I think like there's probably a level of laziness that comes with it. Yeah. And there's a level of I think the selfish level of selfishness that must be, I guess, developed in the kids. Because how do you teach about, coming together for something? I don't know. I just don't get it, man. It's the first time I hear that. I just like,
is it really?
Dude, I'm not kidding. Jeez, that's so crazy.
Oh,
like, you would have told me that. I thought you were joking. It's like free range chickens. Like, I get it.
There's free range parenting. There's this other movement called permissive parenting, where you're not allowed to say no. Like,
what?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that's crazy.
Blowing my mind.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy. You have no idea how many times I say no in a day. Holy shit.
My God. I say no more than I say yes. Like,
no, but that's completely crazy. I cannot believe, like, where are these people coming from?
Yeah.
Are they like flat earthers or like Jesus Christ?
Yeah. Well, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's irresponsible. And you're offsetting that responsibility of how to build or how to live life. You're offsetting that to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or even like a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old. The thing is it's like I said, I mean, it's important to have the routine established. It's important to have boundaries. It's important to have rules in place. And it's not about running this dictatorship. You always take an input, but you have to understand that, like, yeah, you've been on this earth for whatever, the 30, 40, 50 years, however old you are, and how long you've been on this earth. You've accumulated all of this experience.
It's mentorship.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
It's mentorship. That's what you're provided. That's a free service you need to provide to your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is new to a kid.
Yeah.
Don't ask a 5-year-old to do something he or she doesn't know.
Yep.
Like, you need to provide that mentorship for them. I mean, that's insane. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe that thing is going to be the next great thing, and they're going to prove us wrong in 20 years and going to be like, fuck you guys. We told you it was great. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hope they prove me wrong, but that's absolutely freaking insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah.
We should, I'm going to do some research. We might do another episode on that stuff, but
okay. Wow. Yeah. No. Yeah.
It's mind boggling, man. Holy smokes. Can't believe that. Wow. But anyway, good luck to these kids. Holy shit.
Yep. That's free range parenting for you.
Tony Robbins never going to run out of business. Oh, gosh. Oh man, but I think we're gonna do obviously a series of these episodes. I think there's a lot of parents listening to the podcast, and daddies and mummies in business, and we'd love to hear your input too. I mean, feel free to contact us and tell us your stories about tips that you might have on your life and work harmony, and how you work with your spouse and your partners and your kids, and how that everything comes along. Obviously through the podcast we want to help you with what we know. Obviously Chris is the most experienced guy here, and I'm 21 years of experience.
22. It's crazy.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I'm on my 6th year now. Yeah. So it's like 6 and almost 2, but it's a crazy experience. And it's funny, like I was reflecting on it this week. It's like how much when you don't have kids, how much you judge people who have kids. And it's like, oh, if I had kids, I would do this and I would do that, and then you realize that, when you have kids, you realize that you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, what kind of an arrogant thing to say? Like, what of an arrogant thing to say? Like, you have no idea, like the amount of figuring out you need to do. And when you think you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah. Well, I find, conversely though, I find myself criticizing or judging people that don't have kids, only because I'm always like, you guys have no idea how much time you have. And
yeah.
Like you have no idea.
What a hack.
I know, right? Like
you're a productivity hacker.
Tell me about how busy you are again. Tell me.
You have no idea. Oh gosh. Yeah, but you know what? It's part of the game. It's great. Like, that's why I always say, make your tighten up your processes before you actually need them badly. It's never too late to start good routines and good practice. And from there it can be good. But I think we're gonna come back to that subject multiple times, because obviously it's something that we love talking about. But and I need to do some more research on that free range thing.
Yeah, I'll send you some links. Maybe we'll put some links in the show notes too.
Chicken kids. Crazy.
Kids.
Insane.
Chicken kids. Yeah.
Oh, you should call it chicken kids movement. Wow.
Free range kids, free range parenting. That's what it's called. Free range parenting.
And they're all fed on omega-3 organic food.
Something like that. No, they're not. They're allowed to choose whatever it is that they eat.
Oh my God.
They're free range.
I would have had, what would have been your thing? I would have a fried chicken and creamsicle diet. That would have been my diet.
That's the thing. I mean, yeah. Well, of course it would be, because then eventually you would learn that that's not good for you, or you just become addicted to sugar and then obese later on.
You don't care. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you eat. You know nothing about it. The earth is flat.
Now, Dave.
COVID-19 has been created in a lab in China to wipe out the population.
That's right. To crash the markets, to make the Chinese economy stronger. Oh boy.
Gosh. God bless. Anyway, brother, let's keep going. Thank you so much once again. Love this conversation. Thank you for educating me on all these things.
To inform you about what free range parenting is and how crazy it is. We can talk
Thank
about
you for
the next episode.
just thank you, like, for I feel so naive right now. I feel so like that I'm totally oblivious about what's going on in the world. I have no clue.
Well, that's kind of a good thing too, because then you can really yeah.
Don't tell me more. I have enough for now with all this information. My mind, like, I have a little bit of smoke coming out of my left ear right now.
Well, we're talking about the idea of it, right? And that's just to be aware of what's out there. And so when you see these kids acting up, or you see questionable things going on with other parents, now you know why. It's because a lot of people take this movement and they believe it's the right way. Because I think in the end, if you have a child, especially the first one, you're going in blind and you really have no idea what to do. So what do? You go to Google University and learn about what the best method is. And
then you end up on the freerangemovement.com and you join.
Right. I think the best bet for anybody, and this is good business advice as well, and you touched on it earlier on, is like mentorship. So if you take a look at other parents or parents who have really great kids and whose kids are well adjusted, maybe you talk to them and see what it is that they're doing, and then take your cues from that. Just like if I wanted to start my business and I had a friend or I knew somebody who was running a successful business and I wanted a business like that, then I would seek out their mentorship as well. Right. So
100%. I mean, that's why I come to you for advice and enlighten me on all these things. But it's true. It's easy to judge. I mean, whatever, everybody can do what they want to do, but obviously it doesn't fit, I guess, my philosophy of what a family is or how to raise kids at all. Right. So honestly, I don't really care about condemning these things because I just don't see it working. So, good. Hopefully, they prove me wrong in 20 years, but you got to find what resonates with you, I guess. But
yeah. Just look in the right places.
Yes. Not Google. Just don't Google it. Don't hit the dark web for it.
No. Definitely not. All right, man.
All right, Chris, I'm going to let you go. And thanks again. Always love these episodes. Always love talking to you about these things.
Yeah. It's cool to
have a great
life about life.
Oh yeah. No, that's great. My mind is blown already. I'm just crazy. But have a great week, everybody. Have a great week, brother. Let you go back to your routines, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Take care, guys.
You have just listened to the Done by Noon podcast. If you are interested in hearing more, do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Click on the 5 stars or check out our free tools and trainings at donebynoonpodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and stay awesome. We'll see you next time.